On this episode of System Integrators Weekly, we're back, and we got a lot to talk about. All the new hardware launches, plus we need to address that Gamers Nexus Skytech review that just came out. All that and more on this episode of System Integrators Weekly. What's the part that comes after that? Sorry, it's been a while. Right. Let's go, nerds! Now, before we get into that stuff, I do want to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by VIP CDK Deals. Now, we've talked about them for a long time here. Tons of members of the community have gotten, OEM Windows licenses from them, and they've worked beautifully. The only time there's ever been an issue is if someone installs Windows 10 Home and buys a key for Windows 10 Pro, realizes that key does not work. Generally, the first reaction is like, this doesn't work. Well, no, you bought the wrong key. Make sure you get the right key for the system, the operating system that you installed. But overall, actually, CDK Deals is not just for OEM Windows licenses. They actually do a lot of stuff. They're starting to carry, they have a lot of hardware and stuff there too. They have game licenses, lights, headsets, mice, keyboards, all kinds of stuff. But generally, the reason that they sponsor my videos is because, well, it's computer stuff, and they have OEM licenses for great prices. We even have a discount code, BRAE25, BRAE25, that will always get you an additional discount over the already discounted price. Now, a few things to know about OEM keys versus a retail Windows license. You can't use an OEM key more than once, and it locks to the motherboard, basically to your hardware. If you make any major hardware changes, it can then invalidate that key, then you gotta get another one. But when you're talking about like 15 bucks versus getting a $120 retail key, it's really not a bad deal. Now, the reason I'm doing this differently, and we're not using our canned sort of ad, first off, I'm gonna be remaking that anyway. The quality's gotten worse over time. But also because I've got this new PC here from AVA Direct, and I switched over to it. And I actually specifically requested that they not activate Windows 11 Pro, which is what they installed here, so that I could show you guys how it works. The downside here is that because I rebooted recently, the watermark is not here. But if you're a potential customer of CDK Deals, VIP CDK Deals, then you know exactly what that looks like, and you know you can't customize your operating system if you don't have it activated, which can be really annoying. Let me show you guys how it works. Check this out. So this, of course, is VIP CDK Deals. My recommendation is to just go to the links in the description and just click on that because it takes you right to it. However, if you do go directly to VIP-CDKdeals.com and you go right here, you just type in Windows. There we go. There are the different versions that you can get. Now, I need to actually get Windows 11 Pro. That is what was installed. So basically, you search Windows, you grab this one right here, if that's the one that you've got, and then here we go. Now, there's a Halloween sale right now. Spooky, scary deals going on. But if we hit Buy Now, it's gonna add it to your cart. But it is currently $31.60 to get Windows 11. If you're doing DIY stuff, you can install Windows 10, which is cheaper. Comes up to 15, 16 bucks with my discount added on. And then you can just get the free upgrade to Windows 11. So just get Windows 10 Pro and then do the free upgrade if you want. So with this, we do BRAE25, bam. Brings it from $31.60 to $22.12 for an OEM copy of Windows 11 Pro. I have used several of these keys on several systems and have never had an issue. Okay, and then once you've made your purchase, you can go to View Keys/Codes, and right here you see my Windows 11 Pro key right there. So I take a look at the code. Now, quick way to get to your activation settings. All right, you can right-click on the Windows button right there, and then go to Settings. Or you can actually go to Search and start typing in Activation, and it'll just bring it right up right there. Change our product key right here, and just paste it in. And there we go. Windows is activated, I'm good to go. If you have any issues with your key and you know that you have the right key for your operating system, just go ahead and send an email to their customer service and they'll get you fixed up. Out of all the time that I've had these guys sponsoring the channel, I've only heard of it happening twice to 2 different members of the community, and there's a lot more people than that who have purchased from CDK Deals. So thank you, VIP CDK Deals, for continuing to support the channel. Y'all are one of the reasons I've been able to go on some of these trips to PAX West, PAX East, DreamHack Dallas, and TwitchCon. Thank you so much for all the support. I appreciate you guys. And let's move on to the rest of the video. Hello, everyone, and welcome to System Integrators Weekly. Welcome back, I should say, because we had to go on a little bit of a break for, well, yeah, TwitchCon. We were out there and went out early, actually, spent over a week in California, not just the 3 days for the event, and got to do some very cool tours, touring a couple of system integrators, so those are going to be separate videos as well, plus just one video covering everything we did at TwitchCon. Of course, previous content from previous events will still come out because some very cool stuff happened at those too, but I digress. So, for those of you who are the impatient type, check the chapter marks, the timestamps that we've got in the description, or even there in the red bar that goes along the bottom of the video. There's going to be divided up chapters. Just find the one that's right for you. But we got to talk about some pretty important stuff. The reason, though, that we had this hiatus other than travel is because really there was not much use in me recommending PCs when I didn't have the full story of all the new hardware that was coming out. And for those of you who aren't interested in the newest stuff, you want to get just the best deal possible. I was also expecting that perhaps we would see even more lowering of prices for the previous generation hardware. Now, I haven't really seen that yet. Most, like, say, Z690 motherboards from 12th gen Intel, the chipset that came out with that, are still at their regular price, but give it a little time and you will see those prices come down. Now that we have 7000 series Ryzen processors out, and the X670E, and now coming the B series motherboards as well for that, B650 motherboards. Those are out, and of course you guys can check out my previous review video of the AVA Direct system that was sent over that I got to review on launch day. That was really cool. We've had the first 40 series card come out, the 4090, which made some major waves, and we've had the now, as of a few days ago, we've had 13th gen Intel drop. The only thing that we're waiting on right now is 7000 series Radeon. Let's talk first about Ryzen 7000 series versus 13th gen Intel, okay? Ryzen 7000 series made big waves when it launched, basically taking over the charts for gaming, though the margins weren't massive in some games. And in some games, they were actually beaten. Their top dog, the 7950X, was beaten out by the previous gen 5800X 3D that they had made, because that was just a phenomenal gaming CPU. That's mostly all it was really good for. The downside, though, to Ryzen 7000 series, Zen 4 and the new AM5 socket, is that, well, there were a couple downsides to it. First off, the total platform cost. People were used to being able to use a motherboard that was a couple generations old and still upgrade their CPU with Ryzen from, 1000 series Ryzen, the first generation, all the way up to 5000 series Ryzen. Like, they supported socket AM4 for so long. So you can't do that anymore. You have to get yourself the new motherboards with the new AM5 socket. It's no longer PGA, having the pins on the CPU. It's now LGA, which is land grid array versus pin grid array. The pins are now on the motherboard, just like with Intel. Now, that's not new to AMD. Their EPYC CPUs and their Threadripper CPUs are LGA. So it's not a new thing for them, but it is new for their standard consumer CPUs, at least for a very, very long time. They've had PGA. So it's pretty amazing, though. I want to take a second to appreciate just what AMD was able to accomplish with a fixed number of pins over, 5 years? So hats off to you, AMD, for doing that. But the downside now is that to buy into the new generation, it is very expensive, and X670E motherboards and X670 motherboards are just getting more expensive. They went all DDR5. There's no DDR4 support. They're doing a fresh start, clean slate, whatever you want to call it. So if you want to play on socket AM5 with Zen 4, you got to get yourself a kit of DDR5. Thankfully, DDR5 has become much more reasonable, for lower speeds especially. However, the sweet spot for Zen 4 appears to be 6,000 megatransfers per second. A kit like this Kingston Fury kit right here, that is actually an AMD Expo kit. Yes, AMD now has a new standard for overclocking on RAM. It is Expo. Yeah, the performance numbers were amazing. They took the top of the charts in pretty much almost everything. And then 13th gen Intel came out. Yeah, AMD brought the power usage up from, you know, previous generations, but man, we thought the 12900K ran hot. Good Lord. The 13900K is apparently setting fire to the atmosphere. It is just a fire-breathing dragon. And AMD decided they wanted to ignore the benefits of hybrid architecture. Came out and straight up said, no, we don't believe hybrid architecture is the future. Then they doubled down on just doing performance cores. Well, with the 12900K having 8 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores, they said, well, we got to double that too on the efficiency cores. You're talking about a 24-core processor. That's the 13900K now. 8 performance cores, 16 efficiency cores, okay? And you're talking about something that comes in at, depending on where you're buying it from, about $50 less than the 7950X. That has 16 performance cores, and it lost the crown when it comes to gaming. It does, on paper, by the way, for those of you looking to edit video, listen to this. This is really important, okay? And I do want to point out that this was mentioned on Twitter. I saw Greg Salazar retweet something about this, and offhand, I can't remember who originally tweeted it. But when you see in Premiere Pro benchmarks that the 7950X is on top of that chart, there's a lot to gain going with Intel and using QuickSync, okay? Intel's QuickSync is very, very good when it comes to using iGPU. So if you have something that's a non-F SKU from an Intel processor, so not like a 13900KF, that doesn't have an iGPU, cannot use QuickSync. But if you have like a 13900K or 13700K, 13600K, you can use QuickSync, and that can actually change those numbers quite a bit. It turns out that the 13600K is in itself a monster when it comes to productivity, to multi-threaded processes, to multitasking. And then of course the 13700K as well is even going to be even better in gaming because it has more performance cores and it has the same number of efficiency cores, 8. But I think the 13600K is going to be one of the most versatile and best value CPUs on the market right now. It just is. It is important to remember one thing, guys. If gaming is your main focus, your CPU is not the primary component there. That's your GPU, okay? But it can make a difference in certain games. Moving on from that though, there's a certain way to approach this, because one thing you need to know if you're thinking about a 13th gen Intel system, this is it. As far as we know, this is the end of the line for LGA 1700. You won't be able to come back 2 years from now and go to your system and just pop in the 15th gen processor. Intel's history is to release a new socket with a new generation of chips, and then the next generation also is supported by the same socket, and it's like an iterative upgrade. It's an iteration. It's not a completely new architecture. It's an improvement upon that architecture, okay? Once 14th gen comes out late next year at some point, it's gonna be a whole new socket and a new, everything, new platform. Intel, y'all gotta work on that, man. So here's the thing, guys. Yes, right now, 7000 series Ryzen is not on top of the charts, except in a few applications, and depending on which chip, which sort of price point you're looking at, okay? But there's two things to remember. First off, you're gonna have more of an upgrade path. If that doesn't matter to you, if you're never gonna upgrade your system, don't really wanna crack the thing open, swap in another CPU later on down the road to get a big performance jump generationally, that's fine. You can get yourself 13th gen Intel and never worry about that. However, if you do think that in 3 or 4 years you'd like to get a major performance increase just by dropping in a CPU, you may want to consider going with Zen 4 anyway, with AMD, because you're banking on the fact that you're going to get better, in fact, vastly superior hardware support from Team Red. The second thing that you need to be aware of, if you're thinking about going AMD, and I don't blame you, is that they've already started leaking rumors about 3D V-Cache versions of 7000 series Ryzen processors. In fact, we're maybe looking at an announcement of those at CES 2023, as soon as in January. And what do we know about 3D V-Cache? Well, the 5800X 3D, you guys remember that Intel chart where they just put the little brown marks instead of a whole bar because they were kind of embarrassed that their new processors, some of them were still being beaten out by the previous gen gaming champ? Yeah. 5800X 3D is a monster for gaming. And imagine that with the new architecture, with DDR5, all of that. Now, speaking of high power usage and high thermals, let's talk about the 40 series GPUs. Now, the 4090 represents a massive, and Ada Lovelace in general, the new silicon, represents a massive generational increase, something that one like we haven't seen in a really long time. But the 4090 is in a class all on its own. There's nothing that compares to it. And it's crazy to think about the fact that this is what should have been a Titan class card, meaning it's not for gaming, it is for productivity, it's for 3D workflows, it is for not gaming. Of course, it'd be good at that, but then they did some things like adding in dual AV1 encoders, so if you're streaming, it is a potent card. You kind of want that. For content creators, it's really the holy grail. They just knocked it out of the park on the 4090, and they raised the price by $100. Now, I'm gonna be straight with you guys. That's fine. If you look at the amount of inflation between now and 2 years ago, when the 3090 came out for $1,500, yeah, adding in $100, that pretty much accounts for inflation. Okay. The problem is the other cards that they announced, and you guys are probably already tired of this story, but for those who don't know, and I know that for some of you guys, I'm the only PC info channel that you watch, and I've been told that. Here's what happened. The other cards that they announced were a problem and remain a problem, at least one of them does. The other one, they unlaunched. It's a new word that they made up. I'm sorry, it was funny. It was funny, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about that 4080. $1,200. Now, we're talking about a card that has also massive improvements. Also has 16 gigs of VRAM versus a 10 gigs of VRAM that the original 3080 launched with, but that was a $700 MSRP card. And now they're just telling us, hey, by the way, the 3080 is nearly doubling in price. Now, of course, they announced the 4080 16 gig and the 4080 12 gig, and everybody worldwide was just like, are you serious? Have you sold GPUs before? Have you done this before? Because that's stupid, and it was just plain dumb. Nobody liked it. Because if you looked at the number of the die, at the bus width, at all these different things, it wasn't just 4 fewer gigs of VRAM. The entire card was cut down. It wasn't a 4080 with 4 gigs less of VRAM. It's basically a 4070 or 4060 Ti is what it should have been. When they released the chart showing that it was not keeping up with the other 4080 in the slightest, that was when the outcry really got loud, and Nvidia came out and said, whoa, listen, this card, you know what, maybe we didn't name it so good. Maybe we done goofed. So we're unlaunching, pressing the unlaunch button. They literally said that. So they pushed the unlaunch button and they said, you know what, our bad. Which, to be fair, thank you, Nvidia. Thank you for doing that. Right now, Nvidia totally screwed themselves over by making such an expensive GPU to manufacture that AMD can come in, Nvidia just set it up. AMD can spike it. AMD, listen, for the GPU team, just make your margins razor thin. You don't make that much off GPUs anyway. Nobody does. But cut back as much as you can and undercut Nvidia on price, and make sure you have AV1 encoding. That's it. That's all we need. Just do those 2 things. and you will just dominate the market. But yeah, the 4080 is coming out in November, and the 4090 is great if you're a content creator that actually makes money off of content, then you can maybe justify the price. Make sure you get the right power supply, because good Lord, up to 600 watts for the GPU. Crazy talk. And combine that with a 13900K, oh, guess who's doing that actually? And this is the segue to the next topic that's gonna get pretty serious. But Skytech. For those who are in the Discord, you saw me announce that Skytech was doing a live build of the next PC I'm reviewing for them. And yeah, I just recently did a review of Skytech system. We're gonna get to that, don't worry. But no one else was stepping up to send me a 13900K to test or a 4090. Skytech was like, yeah, you need that stuff? Sure, we have it. And they had the configurator for the 40 series configurator way early. But we can't talk about that without some real talk about the recent video just today that was launched by Gamers Nexus. So yeah, Gamers Nexus released a review. What they do is they actually use money made through, you know, of course, revenue, ad revenue and all that, plus through the Gamers Nexus store where you can get their merch and stuff. Now, I make no secret of the fact that I have been a fan of Gamers Nexus for a long time. Love Gamers Nexus. Do you doubt me? Here you go. Teardown toolkit, got the mod mat, got I love the channel and I want to support their tech journalism. Their flavor of tech journalism is the kind of honesty, just not, I don't necessarily want to be as brutal. You know, I try to keep things positive, but there's times where it's just not possible, and that honesty is something that I strive for. The level that they have, the level of integrity they have is just awesome. I don't always agree with Gamers Nexus on some things. And you know what? That's okay. It is okay to not agree. But on this one, they were absolutely right. Because Skytech screwed up a PC. Like 100%. There is no doubting it. Now, no system integrator is ever gonna be free of mistakes. And it's really how a company handles mistakes that makes them a good company or a bad company, right? Well, if you go and check the system integrator testimonials in the Swarm Discord, you'll see that typically Skytech is awesome about handling issues like this. If there's like a broken panel or a dented panel, something like that. And as a matter of fact, in the Gamers Nexus review, they had a dented front panel. Skytech offered to replace the entire system, and that was anonymous. They didn't know who it was. They're just like, oh man, that sucks. We'll pay for you to ship it back. We'll ship you a brand new one, just like that. But there's something that we need to talk about. Gamers Nexus previously reviewed a Skytech system, and it did great.
Overall then, the Skytech Chronos does in fact get the It's Better Than Dell award, but it also gets the, yeah, we can recommend this relatively.
It was one of their pre-configured systems. And if you have been keeping track of the PC reviews I've done, the more recent one was the first review where I reviewed a Mark 7 system, or a one that I did through the configurator. And guess what happened? There were QC issues. And I did not hesitate at all to completely call out and criticize Skytech for the lack of QC. And now it wasn't as severe as what happened to the system that Gamers Nexus reviewed. That one was having thermal issues like crazy. I mean, the processor, the CPU cooler had gotten, first off, damaged in shipping, and secondly, they had fans working against each other. That's straight up installer error, and it should have been caught by QC during the stress testing, during the benchmarking, the burn, and everything. When I reviewed the Mark 7 system, if you guys go watch that, I'll put the link right here, there was a problem. Several problems with QC. The mounting bracket for the power supply was bent. They were perfectly, of course, willing to replace that. That's exactly what they told Gamers Nexus, because it was a dented front panel. Gamers Nexus praised the response for that, and I applaud them for not being salty about the other, so salty about the other thing that they didn't recognize good customer service when they saw it on that side of things. And there were other QC issues. There was still a plastic peel on the chipset heatsink on the motherboard with the little bright blue thing saying, hey, peel me please, just take me off of there because this part gets hot, it is literally called a heatsink. And the most mind-boggling one of all was a piece of kind of thin, hard plastic, like from a container like this, basically, that maybe they had cut open to get the RAM out of, that was wedged under the memory heatsink, wedged into there. I don't know how it got wedged into there. It could have actually damaged, you know, one of the ICs here, one of the memory chips here. It didn't. Everything worked fine, but I had to basically yank that piece of plastic out. And I was there like, how can someone get a piece, you know, stick of memory and not see that? Unless they're in way too big of a hurry. Skytech, I'm asking y'all right now that instead of just going to that builder, because you keep a record of who built what PCs, instead of going to that builder and completely blaming them for the Gamers Nexus situation, and maybe to some extent the situation with my unboxing and review, which was overall positive, it's just those little QC issues. Most people aren't gonna actually spot something like a transparent piece of hard plastic under a heat spreader. But I don't want you guys going and firing someone or putting all the blame on them, because if it's a situation where they don't have the resources that they need, that what's the most important resource is time, right? If they don't have the resources they need to be circumspect and careful when they're building a $5,000 PC, and it doesn't matter what the price is, by the way, that is irrelevant. Whatever the price of the PC, the same level of care should go into all of them. It takes a long time to get to the point to where you can be thorough quickly. And even people who've been doing things for a long time will miss things when they're feeling rushed. Your custom systems need to have the same level of quality as your pre-built systems, or because so you can end up spending more money. So please just give them the time that they need and do some training. And for Pete's sake, yeah, there's a problem if your CPU is running at 100 degrees Celsius 30 seconds after starting a multi-core workload. That's hardly ideal. I know you're going to see this, and you're going to take it as, you know what, we're going to take our licks on that because we need to fix that. We need to fix that problem. And it's not like I can look at the review I did that I posted up a month ago or whatever and say, well, you should have listened to me because I purchased this thing way before that in April. It does bother me though to think that I've been recommending people do the custom configurator and that this could happen. However, there is an answer to this, and it's actually going to be highlighted in the unboxing and review stream that's going to be coming up later this week. You can get your PC built live on the Skytech Gaming Twitch channel. Okay? They build them 3 days a week. It could mean a slight delay to get your PC of a few days as they're scheduling some of these and as demand goes up for that. But one thing that comforts me in the fact that I've been recommending the configurator is that I always recommend that customers request it be built live on stream. The reason for that is it then circumvents the apparently flawed sort of standard operating procedure for building these custom systems. Because guys, when it comes to the reviews of these, right now you're 0 for 2 as far as I can tell. Now there are plenty of people in the Discord, in the Swarm Discord, in my community, who have purchased through the configurator, gotten it built live on stream, and been like, man, this PC's perfect. It's so awesome. This is great. That's telling, isn't it? It takes a lot of the anxiety away of just feeding money to a website and hoping good computer come out. And it's free. And it's fun. Like, they're great at what they do. Yesterday, I got to hang out on the stream, hang out with them, watch them do the build, see the care that Juan put into the system he was building, chat with Jimmy, who's always chill. He got to unbox the 4090 and install it. So yes, you did a little bit of physical work, dude, all right? I recognize and appreciate. So that, I think, is the answer to this, other than, yes, you guys just need to up your game on the QC. It needs to be fixed. I've always said this, and I stand by it. And it goes for companies and individuals. When you hold a company or an individual in high regard, you don't lower your standards for them. You need to have higher standards for them, higher expectations. And because I like you guys, I really want to see you guys improve this. You need to do that so that I can keep recommending you confidently. Because when I saw that video, I was like, oh God, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Because I put myself out there and I take my job very seriously. People come to me and say, I've saved up, I've got this, or I'm gonna put myself in debt for this, or something like that. What should I get? And then when I say stuff, they then go spend their money. That can be terrifying, but it's sobering at the very least, and it's a massive responsibility, and I take that very seriously. When I realize that everyone I've sent over, I usually recommend that they do the live build on stream, and they enthusiastically agree that they want that, I feel like I'm okay, but man, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be in this situation. To feel that, like, I thought that the Mark 7 was an outlier with those little QC issues. I now feel like that probably is not the case. It may be the rule rather than the exception. So clearly changes need to be made. That's my thoughts. And, you know, I'm gonna tell y'all something right now, okay? I don't wanna see a single comment. Oh, okay, it's gonna happen anyway. But any of y'all being out there, well, this is why I build all my own computers and why everybody out there should build their own computers. I've literally gotten comments saying everyone should just build their own computers. Do you really think that? And then when I call them out for gatekeeping on my channel, they're like, well, I didn't mean everyone, I just actually said it. And you know what? Well, you know, I'll keep up with them. I have direct contact with them. I will actually get back to you guys with how they're addressing the problem, what they're doing to fix it, okay? Because they deserve to have a voice in it too. I truly believe that. And, you know, we want to hear from them. And let's talk about what you can expect coming up from System Integrators Weekly before the end of the year. So, moving on to that. We do, from the channel in general, we have some very exciting stuff coming up, including next week we are going to have, if you want to see a kind of a follow-up to this, come and see what the new system from the Mark 9 configurator, because guess what, there is, and I wanted to show this to you guys, but it wasn't really a very good time for it, I suppose. But there's the Mark 9 40 series configurator, and that's what we're highlighting here in this next unboxing and review, along with getting it built live on stream. I'm hoping the system arrives by Thursday, this coming Thursday, so if that's the case, just keep an eye out. If it arrives on a Friday, I'll straight up stream on Friday. I don't care. I'll do it. Come check out the stream. It's going to be great. I really want to test this thing out because, man, I want to see how beastly the 13900K is and whether it's worth it, whether it's worth the lack of efficiency. I do a lot of video editing and stuff, so to me, I don't mind if it uses a lot of power as long as I can back that up. I have a big old chunky UPS here, so it shouldn't blow out my breaker or anything. I mean, it's not really how that works, but we'll find out. Follow me on twitch.tv/Brayathorn. And normally I help people actually with finding the right PC for them. You give me your budget, you jump in the queue, give me your budget, what you're gonna use it for, just a bunch of different answers to questions that help me actually configure a PC that's perfect for you, whether it be from a system integrator or a PC part picker list because you want to build it yourself. Either way, I can help you optimize for your budget and what you're going to use it for. So drop a follow. Come hang out and stream. I'm going to be streaming. I stream every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at around 8 p.m. Central Standard Times or Central Daylight Time, depending on the time of year. Central Time. There you go. We are back, and as of next Monday, we're going to start going back into showing off what systems are where, recommending things. We're going to take a look, and I might have a separate video taking a look at what system integrators have the new stuff. Basically, I need to make several talking head videos coming up. There's some things I want to address, and I may make separate videos talking about some of the things I mentioned earlier in this video. Just keep an eye out. Lots of content coming, including some work with Team Excluded to finally actually give away a PC, and I'm gonna build it live on stream. Stay tuned to the Twitch channel, stay tuned to the YouTube channel, and we're just gonna we're gonna knock out a bunch of content for you guys. TwitchCon video coming soon, iBuyPower facility tour coming soon, Yi and Gaming facility tour coming soon. Lots of stuff on the way. So Thanks for checking out the video. Like it if hit like if you liked it and all that stuff, or whatever. You know the spiel. Until next time. Take care.